Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Big Wavy Roy Johnson here.
This is the professional Nathan Cruz.
Yo, this is Man Like Doris.
Hi, this is Tom Thurber.
This is Benji.
This is the Asian sensation Kanji.
This is the Nightmare Fuel Hassan Malone.
This is Joe Rage, the heavyweight classic.
This is Mad Dog O'Doherty.
This is Tonga.
I'm the Breaker, Carl Kingsley.
This is the infamous Cameron Solis, and you're listening
You're listening to
Broken but Glorious.
Broken but Glorious.
To Broken but Glorious podcast, because like me, you are head to toe a pro.
Hello and welcome to my Brit Rest Journey on bbgwrestling.com. I'm Chris Laff and I'm delighted to be joined on the line by the only man who can mend the broken Britain, your saviour and mine, Tony Sin. How you doing this evening, Tony?
Hello, good evening. Yeah, I'm good. That's what an introduction that is. Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a bit of a boring day. I've just been working from home, a bit boring. It's been all right.
Yeah, so I've just come back from holiday, so I'm sort of in that post holiday blues phase. Still doing like laundry, all that sort of stuff, boring stuff, and just wishing I was still there. But yeah, no, glad to be on here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got up at 5:30 to go to the gym to do a Burnett session. First time, yeah, it got cancelled, so I had to.
You got up at that time to get there.
Yeah, didn't even get cancelled. They just the trainer didn't turn up. We're all sitting there till like 6:30, and I don't think anyone was turning up. So
God, I'd be wanting compensation, not just my money back. I'd be wanting compensation for that if I got up at that time.
Doing weights, bored.
Terrible. It's hard to find the motivation. I mean, I'm an occasional morning guy, but I try to do it in the afternoon just because it's like, yeah, it can be killer. I know some people just have to do it in the morning, but if I can, I'm definitely an afternoon guy.
It's just the only time of the day I could do it. So I work 9 to 5. I get home at 6. And I've got the kids. I do this. It's just like, yeah. So 6 till 7 is about the only time I can do it. So.
Fair enough. But I respect your commitment for that, because yeah, I tried it for a while, but yeah, it's can be hard, especially now winter's drawing in. It can be like when it's properly dark.
That's gotta be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be dark, but it's not even going to be light by the time you leave. It's sort of can be hard. But no, fair play to anyone that does that, especially on a consistent basis.
Yeah. So how's your 22 been so far in ring?
Yeah, no, it's been good, really. I mean, 2022 has been my debut year as well as just the calendar year. I made my debut technically in December 21, but it was like a cosplay rumble type thing for a charity. So although it was actual competition, like booked,
yes,
it wasn't like the full Tony Sin character.
The Christmas tree one.
The Christmas tree one, yeah.
Because he's literally couldn't get thrown out.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything.
The Christmas tree. I came as the Pope, which was, so it was a costume I already had, and they sort of like, when I got asked to do it, and then they said it was a cosplay thing, I was like, okay, well that's good, because luckily the Halloween 21, I had bought this Pope outfit that I sort of went as like zombie Pope, so it was quite convenient that I had it, and then it sort of works with the Tony Sin gimmick in itself, so it's quite like it's good to have sort of duality with it. But yeah, then made my debut in January 15th, I think it was, Flora's Lab 4. We did like this thing where Memes was out injured, had actual gout rather than like kayfabe gout, and so I think he was like I don't know if he was meant to be entering the Rumble first, or that's just how it panned out. That CJ Carter went in first, then he sent Freddie Idol, me, and Harrison Leon, who were all debuting. We went in as his like henchmen sort of thing, and it ended up with all of it, him eliminating us all individually, and then we all ganged up on him again, and then it all fell apart again. And yeah, and that was the official Tony Sin debut, but it was a rumble, and then a week later I made my singles debut against Tommy Kyle, which
what a debut to have.
Absolutely mad to debut against him and also beat him as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, beat him in my debut, and I don't think many people are going to be able to say that. It was good. Apart from actually, I didn't ask. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It was all good apart from the very end. So we'd sort of like a couple of days before it, we met and just planned the whole thing out. And I was at that stage and still am like a very like micro planner with things. So we literally planned it out move for move to the point that I would write like chop in my notebook and all this stuff, which I don't do anymore. But at that time, I just wanted it to be like as good as possible. And obviously, I know that he's going to be flawless, so I wanted to try and match him as much as I possibly could. And it was all going well. You know, it's a fairly basic match, just doing like leg stuff. And then the finish. So before, when we were planning it out, we were sort of, because we didn't know who was going over at the time, so we sort of planned out 2 finishes. I was just sort of like, there's no point us planning a finish for me if I'm winning, because that's just not going to happen. And he was like, well, no, we might as well do it anyway. So we planned out. So my finish was that I was meant to go. I was hitting with this like split leg moonsault, like sort of Van Damme. Well, it's not like the Van Damme one, but it's Van Damme, like pound shot Van Damme style split leg moonsault. I was going to hit him, which I'd been doing in training before, and it was quite like a punchy move to be doing in your debut. But I'd been doing it in training and sort of landing it, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's just do it. And got there, and there's a big difference between doing it in training when it's like very set conditions to doing it in a live match when there's a crowd there, and obviously the ring's bigger, everything, because it's like a proper room. The walls are further away, and all of a sudden you just felt like incredibly lonely there. And I tried it once, just didn't even like get the height at all to get onto the like top rope. I sort of managed to like, you know, style it out a little bit as if it was like part of the plan. And then went for it again. And the same thing happened, but even worse. And I was just like, oh God. What? And I honestly, I would have, because at that point I was just like frazzled, and I would have just continuously tried to do it over and over and over again, but it just never really. So Tommy realized what was happening and just like cut me off. And then the actual finish was meant to be a low blow anyway. But rather than me hitting the moonsault, he just sort of cut me off in it. And then we did this whole like ref distraction thing, low blow, feet on the ropes, like real, you know, shithouse heel finish. And then went over. So it was all good. But so and then after that, the rest of the year, I mean, we're only 6 months in, but it's gone as well as I could have like reasonably expected it to go, if you know what I mean. Like obviously I would love to have, after my first match, someone saw it and was like, we're going to sign this guy to WWE or AEW, doing like tours of Japan. Obviously I would have wanted that, but that's never going to happen. But in terms of what I had as, you know, reasonable expectations and sort of hopes, it's gone as well as it could have. Like I've worked 3 different promotions, got the 4th one coming up in October. Done a load of other matches, had mostly good times. There have been a few where it's been a bit sort of iffy, but on the whole I haven't had a horror show like I did in my debut, which I think is at least something. It shows that there's like an improvement rather than being up and down. And I'm just really happy with it. Basically, I just couldn't.
That sounds amazing.
Think of like a sort of a bad point in that.
Yes, I started wrestling training in May. At the age of 40, I decided to let's give it a go. So it's been. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I sort of I mean, I didn't start that late, but I started when I was 29, which is pretty old to be doing it. But when you see some of the ages of some of the guys that are doing it now, it's crazy. I mean, even the like we have. Yeah, I mean, we've got kids in the junior part of the academy that are 5, and they're like, and you know, they're doing like flip bumps onto the massive mats, obviously, but they're doing like flip bumps. They're climbing to the middle turnbuckle. I saw this kid Finn, who's a bit of a mortal enemy of mine, but that's maybe
Yeah.
we might get onto that. He's so he's 5 and he's my enemy. And he the other day I saw a video of him doing a sunset flip on one of the trainers.
Wow.
So like it's just, if someone's starting that young, really, there's no hope. And as long as he sticks at it, by the time that he gets to the sort of age where you can have a match, like I don't really know if there's any regulations on it as such, because we've had a set of brothers that made their debuts, and I think they were like 12 and 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're amazing. I've seen 2 of their matches so far. And in the second match, the older brother, his finish was a powerbomb. So it's crazy. It's honestly, they're just getting younger and younger. But yeah, 29, I think it was sort of like maybe the limit. But I'm happy I started.
Yeah, but I love it. Well, I only really started to support my son, who's 17. I thought I'll just go with him, just so he's not going by himself. But I think I love it more than him. So it's like...
Really? How are you doing with it?
I'm really enjoying it. I did flip bumps at the weekend, and he said I did them really well.
Nice.
So, but, yeah, because I had a few mental health problems earlier this year, and it's kind of in my head. I think that's the best thing I've ever had, because I got a couple of months off work. I managed to sort my head out. I've lost 2.5 stone. Yeah, I've started wrestling training, started going to the gym, and life's half. Yeah, so, but I absolutely love it.
No, I have the same thing. If you're having a bad day or whatever, or like a bad week, and as soon as you get to wrestling training, there's something where you just sort of like snap out of it, and like you get in the ring, and it feels like a very, safe space or whatever. It just, it changed your mindset massively. I feel the same way about it, definitely.
Yeah, this is how my son, today I got hip tossed by Leon Gray, and Declan McCarthy body slammed me today. Yeah. Connor Klein suplexed me today, but he's like, all his favourite wrestlers from Wrestle Island.
Honestly,
yeah, and bumping isn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. I'm still. If somebody just says go bump, I can't just. Everybody else just seems to fly on their back. I can't quite do that yet, but I can. If you suplex me or body slam me, I can take them. If he's doing it to me, it's easy. It's just somebody just says go do a back bump. My body just says no. Why do you want to fall on your back?
It's awful. The thing is, they don't get better at all. I mean, obviously you can do them in a safe way, so you don't hit your head, obviously tuck your chin and all that. But once you've actually got the technique of it, that doesn't improve how it feels.
No, it doesn't improve. No.
Shuddering, and it's awful. I think the secret is learning to wrestle without having to bump. That's like the utopia that everyone is trying to climb towards. It's just do it, entertain people, and tell a story without actually having to fall over. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, but shoulder bars be clothesline me. I'll do a back bump, but I just can't do it. Somebody just says back bump. It must be just something in my brain. My 40 years don't fall over. It's just coming back toward me. So. Right, so this usually gives away your age. So you've already told us, but who was your favourite wrestler growing up, or did you even like wrestling growing up?
Yeah, no idea. I loved it growing up. I absolutely loved it. So I'm 31 now. So, and I got into it when I was probably like, so it's hard to say exactly when you got into it, because it's just, it just sort of seeps in, doesn't it? And well, it certainly, in my experience, it was just a case of, as I'm sure it is for most people that get into it as children, it's just like a sort of playground thing that sort of spreads through there. And just sort of like, everyone just seemed to be into it basically. So yeah, and we were right in the middle of the Attitude Era by the time we got into it. Sort of, I guess we were like 9-ish, which would put it around about sort of like 99, 2000, that sort of time. And anyone that's that like Attitude Era generation, I feel like your true favourites, you're either a Stone Cold guy or a Rock guy.
Yes,
And
I can hear that.
there's no alternatives. And anyone that actually tries to claim that their true favorite or like their first wrestling love or whatever wasn't one of those two guys is lying and trying to seem cool. And and I'm a Stone Cold guy, 100%. Just love him. Even now, like going back and watching him and being able to watch him, like sort of knowing sort of how to wrestle, and obviously being a fan for so much longer and seeing what other people can do. Now being able to go back and being like, okay, so you could have all that sort of, you know, that momentum and behind you and that sort of love for you, whilst basically being the most rudimental wrestler ever and having like 3 moves, having a right hand, stomping people, and a stunner, and that was it. That's all he did really.
Pre neckbreaker, he was this brilliant technical wrestler, but he got him nowhere.
Yeah,
and then he broke his neck, and he got a new style, and he was getting over. But WWE make it as he was the king of the ring and then over, but it wasn't. It was never like it took that feud of Bret Hart to truly get him over as like this huge babyface. But I know it's probably possibly the best thing that ever happened to him in terms of wrestling, breaking his neck, which is a weird thing to think about.
The wrestling mindset. He had already broken his neck and come back by the time that I got into it, so I can't remember that. Even now, like if I see the stunning Steve Austin stuff from WCW, it's almost my mind doesn't accept that old Stone Cold in like the black waistcoat thing and just all black boots and everything, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, he was my favorite growing up. And then once I actually got like into it and realized that there were more people than Stone Cold, I was like Rob Van Dam, the Dudleys, that sort of like those like ECW. I got into them once they'd come over to WWE, but they were sort of like the ECW guys as part of the Invasion. And Sabu as well. Sabu's one I don't think I necessarily knew about him at that time, but he's from the same sort of generation, and now he's like a real guilty pleasure of mine. I absolutely love him.
He's one of them people I always heard about but I'd never seen, and I was like, ooh. And so when he came to WWE in like 2006, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't that. I mean, obviously he was past it by then, and I think they were. WWE in themselves were probably past their sort of peak, and it was just almost just ticking a box for both of them that they did it. But it wasn't their finest stuff. He must have came back as part of the ECW when they did the ECW reboot.
Yeah, he was only there for about 6 months, I think. When they brought in like Sabu and Sandman and Balls Mahoney, and just for the relaunch of the ECW brand, but they slowly faded them out. And it's basically just turned into what NXT is now. Just bring through the young guys and stuff.
Yeah, I mean they basically just threw after that. They just, like you're saying, they just put their own guys on the brand rather than it being like they got them in at first to try and make it seem legit, but they probably never even fancied them. I don't know, but it's sort of it definitely didn't work out.
Yeah, and because it was on the Sci-Fi channel, Sci-Fi wanted like some horror people, so that's why Kevin Thorne came in as a vampire, and they had a zombie on the first show, just because it was on the Sci-Fi channel and they wanted some sci-fi elements to it. But I enjoyed it for what it was. It was one of the times I got back into wrestling, 2006, because I heard, ECW started up again.
So well, there you are then. So it did work at least, didn't it? It sort of got some back into it. But obviously it didn't work out. But I guess that's why they were doing it. And then some people would have stuck around, wouldn't they? So I think I was. So I do remember ECW being relaunched, but I was just about sort of starting to fall away at that time. Sort of like going to secondary school and just getting, like into my teenage years. I think a lot of people just sort of. They either just stop watching it completely and then that's it, them done. But then you do have people that sort of stay in the loop, but then not watching it week to week.
Yeah,
And
that's me.
I had a phase of that, like the late, like mid to late noughties. I can't really recall at all. There's not much stuff in there. Like, you know, people will say certain people's names, but I do not know who that is. No, he worked for WWE. I'm like, well, I don't know yet. I've not seen it. And then got into it. Got back into it around about the sort of time when the whole, you know, Punk was getting hot sort of thing. And I don't. To be honest, I don't even know if that was what specifically got me back into it, or it's just like, you know, it's the first big storyline that I can remember. Yeah, but then since then I've been all in, sort of, watching week to week. I am a WWE guy. I know some people are like ashamed to admit it, but it's not. For me, it's not like that. And then just sort of like growing. Then once from that stage, I realized that there was more to wrestling than WWE. I'd still watch it, but I then also realized that there were, you know, other promotions, other countries doing it. Not that I didn't know, but I would then start watching some of their stuff. And just sort of trying to expand on it.
Yeah, I do find it hard to just find time to watch it all. So if you've got 3 hours of Raw and 2 hours of SmackDown and 2 hours of Rampage and 2 hours of Dynamite, and it's like 2 hours of NXT, and it's like, no,
there's no way I could watch. You know, like I have never, and I can't ever see a day where I will stay up and watch a 3-hour Raw live. It's just the amount of adverts are in it. It would just drive me mad. Honestly, it'd be like a form of torture for me. There are some Raws that, you know, when you're right in the middle of the storylines that are just so predictable, and you can get through it in like half an hour if you see it.
I do. When on the BT app, I have to wait for it to get to the 2 hour spec when they take all the adverts out, and it's only 2.5 hours, 2 and a bit hours longer. I have to wait for that because it's the amount of adverts on BT drives me mad.
And also the other problem that we have here a lot of the time is we have that like because their ad breaks are obviously American ad breaks, so we'll run like a couple of our own ad breaks, but then there's that like holding graphic that just takes the theme tune over and over again. That's like, you know, in like like Prisoner of War, and someone just made me listen to that part over and over again. my equivalent of like white noise.
Yeah. All right, so you're 29. So what prompted you to don the tights to get in the ring yourself at the age
so I had looked before. I didn't just sort of wake up and go, okay, this is like my last sort of like, this is it. I'd looked, I'd probably had 2 other periods in my life where I had looked like actively to try and find a school. One was when I was, I guess, early 20s, something like that, and would just sort of look on the internet, and I just remember reading like a chat room or something like, or like a forum, and I just saw a comment that really put me off. Basically being like, if you're not 6'5" and 300 pounds, just don't even bother. And obviously this was someone that was talking about, you know, if you're going to try and get to WWE, especially at that time, like, you know, 10 years ago, they were looking for those sort of guys. And I just sort of read it, and I was just like, yeah, you know what, actually fair enough. Maybe I'm not like, I just haven't got the physical attributes to ever really make it. And I think, although it's hard to say now, I'm not sure whether or not the goal then was like, I'm going to start wrestling and get to WWE, but it was certainly, you know, it was definitely the goal, but it wasn't the only thing. So I was just like, yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I haven't got the physical attributes. And then once NXT started getting like, you know, they went through a phase where they got like smaller guys in.
Yeah, definitely.
The more sort of like Gargano shaped guys. And I was like, oh, okay, so they are, you know, they're hiring smaller guys, and obviously there are smaller wrestlers out there. Not that I didn't think everyone was 6'5", but there are guys that are that size and they're getting to, you know, to the top or close to the top. So I started looking again. How old would I be? I probably would have been like 25, something like that. And just every school that I found was like in East London, too far away to go really. Even if it was just like a every now and again sort of thing, I was never going to be able to do like an hour and a half there, hour and a half back, because it just wouldn't really work out. And so then again, that sort of just got parked. And I probably thought at that point, I was like, okay, yes, I'm getting to a stage in life where it's maybe just not meant to happen. And I was fine with it. And then just before lockdown, I saw a post. When I went to the barbers and I saw just like an A4 poster for this promotion called actually no, I'm not gonna name them. So they buoyed me off. I got in touch with them like 4 months ago or something, being like, oh hey, I'm like from the local area and I've just started wrestling. This isn't the company that I'm with now, train with. And was just like, I've made a debut, looking for experience, looking for reps, all that sort of stuff. And they were just like, no, like really like blunt and rude about it. So yeah, I'm not going to give them the publicity of naming them just because they don't deserve it. Really, yeah, I'm a grudge holder, so I'm not doing it. But anyway, from that, I sort of saw the poster. I actually booked tickets to their show. The show was meant to be like sometime in June. This is so I saw the poster before the pandemic, and then the pandemic started, and it basically got as everything did. Yeah. But that sort of kicked me into gear to be like, okay, so they're a local promotion. There must be a local school or something, because they can't just be like magicking this, these workers out of thin air. So I started looking, and just stumbled across where I now currently train, which is UBW/Square One. And so I found them. This is during lockdown, and I basically messaged Hugo Bloom. I sent him the same message across, I think, like 3 platforms. I sent him an email. I got in touch with him on Facebook Messenger, and also on their just like Facebook wall. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm so used to, like, when you get in touch with people, especially during then, when I just thought, there's no, they haven't got shows running or anything, so maybe they've just parked the whole thing. Like no one's checking the communication platforms. Anyway, he got back to me in like 15 minutes, being like, just to let you know, I have got all your, I'm only going to reply on one of them. And he was like, yeah, we are a school. We're not doing sessions at the moment, obviously. But if you want to join, you can, and then I'll let you know when it opens fully. And I went back to him and said, like, I know there's not any sessions open, but is it okay if I just come down to the academy and just like get in the ring and like bump around and stuff, just because I wanted to get used to it? And he was obviously like, have you got any experience? I was like, no. He was like, well, no, funnily enough, you're not allowed to turn up as a complete beginner and just start throwing yourself around, because we do have such a thing as insurance. So yeah, and then he was like, yeah, just join. So I joined, paid whatever the membership fee was, and I sort of just forgot about it, really. I didn't really think about it. I wasn't, counting down the days or whatever. And then once everything opened up, when did things open up? What was this, 2020? No, 2021 things opened up, yeah. Last March. And then, he got in touch and was just like, yeah, sessions starting back up. This must have been April, I think, because my first session was in May of last year. And I just remember him being like, yeah, it starts this Thursday, and I was like, right, okay, we're on now, let's just do this. And then went to my first session. I was absolutely bricking it, like completely just on the way over. I definitely thought, like 2 days before, when you get that flash in your mind of being like, you could just call it off, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no harm in just being like, nah, it's not for me. But I was like, no, you need to stick at this. Like, this is sort of not everything you've always wanted, but certainly from like a wrestling perspective, this is it now, because they're about half an hour away from me, so perfectly manageable distance. And I went. I was so nervous, and just sort of got amongst it. And then after about 15 minutes, I was like, okay, firstly I can do this, because I was sort of thinking, like, when I get there, is it going to be, although I went to a beginner's session specifically, I thought that I was going to turn up and everyone was going to be just like a complete wrestler already. It was sort of like, at least like in terms of shape. I thought everyone was going to be massive and jacked and like super athletic. And it wasn't really like that. And yeah, within like 15 minutes, I was probably like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I feel like I don't want to be like I was the best from the beginning, but I was pretty good. Not gonna lie. So Artemis, you had Artemis on a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So she was in my first session. That wasn't her first session. She had done stuff before, but she was in the first UBW session that was back on. And it was also, so Tommy Carl's our trainer, our like main trainer. And it was also his first session. So it was like very much like the genesis of this, like, I don't know, I guess you'd call us like the academy generation sort of thing, because before the pandemic, they didn't have an academy, but I don't remember this time. So this is sort of like secondhand information in a way. But whereas at the moment, so my training session, I turn up and the ring is already up because it's up the whole time. All you have to do is tighten the ropes, right? Because otherwise, just get like, and that's all you have to do. Whereas previously, before the pandemic, they had to all meet at a pre-arranged time, set the ring up in I don't know, I think it was like a village hall or whatever, set the ring up and then train for like 6 hours, but that was the only time they could train if they wanted to use the ring. And I can't get my head around it those sort of days. And even before then, they were doing it on like mats. There was no ring at all. There was just mats in I think it was like a boxing gym or something. So yeah, we're really lucky that we sort of landed at this time. Sort of take it for granted a little bit. And yeah, so we're the sort of the very first ones of this academy generation. So it's like Tommy Carl's first batch of children. A few weeks later, we've got, so then people like Harrison Leon joined, and all of a sudden you've got this sort of like group of regulars that are now coming through at the same time. So it's been nice to experience it with them. They're all great. But yeah, no, it was good. So and started with Artemis, and we did bumps at the very beginning, sort of like we did rolls and all that sort of stuff, and then we did a flip bump.
They're weird. Like, was that the first time when they say do a roll, you're like, I've done a roll for 30 years. What the hell? I've done a roll since I was 10. So I'll do a back roll. Oh, okay. There we go. I've done one of these. But yeah.
I mean, my first roll, I basically just bumped it. That's what it was, because I wasn't quite sure. Like you're saying, I hadn't done it for so long that I was just like, right, okay, I'm just going to throw myself into this completely, because at least then I've got like the momentum. And then they're like, yeah, that's fine, but you probably want to do it like a bit more like a ball, so you can like roll through, and the sort of, the aim of it is to almost do it like silently, so no one can hear you roll. All they do is see it. But yeah, it was great, and I've just been at it ever since.
Yeah, and it's one of them things I think you need to do regularly as well. Because at the beginning I was like, go 1 week, and I'll probably miss a week, and then I was like, but by the time you go back, you forget all the holds you learned from this week before. I can remember how to get into the hold. I was like, I can't remember how to reverse this. But yeah, I think it's something you have to do at least every week, just to get the reps into and under things.
Definitely. And I train at the moment. I'm doing like twice a week, and I'm pretty religious about it. Just Tuesday not with Tommy Carl. We do it with Paul Ash, who's this like ultra veteran, just knows everything. Yes. And teaches.
I love his podcast.
You've had him on?
No, I love his podcast.
Oh, his podcast. Oh yeah, his podcast is amazing. I hope to get on there at some point. And he'll sort of teach us more. So typically his sessions, you'll go with things that you want to work on, and then he'll show you how to do it. I mean, no, a lot of the time he'll be like, no, that's shit. How about I've got. I think the premise of the session is that you're meant to go with the things that you want to work on. Whereas, Tommy is more like, he'll have the session laid out, and we do a lot more sort of like sequences and transitions, and it'll be something that, say, you do at the beginning of a match, like an international whatever, and you'll build it as the session goes on and then do it. So it's a good balance to have, and they're like two amazing people to be learning from. So yeah, really lucky.
Yeah, because when I interviewed Truman Roswell, he was talking about this academy that's going to be opening soon. I was like, oh, I can't wait for it. Yeah. And the people who've come through the academy just sounds amazing.
Well, Truman Roswell, he actually was. So originally in the beginners class, him and Tommy Carl took them together. But then Truman abandoned us like 2 months in. Which just left Tommy to deal with this all. It was like a single mother all of a sudden that has to do all the work. Especially at that stage, because we were still, we'd still be learning, say, chops or uppercuts. And previously, when there was 2 of them, they could divvy up who was taking them. And because, for a lot of people, it was their first time. So you would get a lot of just inadvertently stiff strikes. I've
been punched in the face twice.
Yeah. So it's all that sort of stuff, or like an elbow to the sternum or whatever it is, and all of a sudden Tommy's having to take all of these and also try and see like our technique on it. I was like, yeah, cheers, nice one for leaving me with that.
Yeah, I thought I was going to come to go work with this huge bruise, but luckily it didn't come up as a huge bruise. I was just like,
no, touch wood. I haven't had anything quite like that. Obviously, I've been hit and I've been struck, but I haven't had anything that comes up for me to then have to go in to work the next day and be like, oh yeah, by the way, about this sort of thing. Yeah. They know I do it, but they haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't had any. Well, actually, no, I had been cut, but it wasn't too bad. That was in a match. But yeah, black eyes, swollen lips, all that sort of stuff. Managed to avoid them so far.
Yeah, I've had other bruises all up my arm and stuff. I think there's a couple there, but yeah.
It's also what actually causes the most like bruising is just running the ropes.
Running the ropes.
It's like you'll do them. Say some of our warm-up drills will be like hit the ropes 10 times and roll and all this sort of stuff. And by the time you've done it, then you get home and you just look at your bag and it's just how it just like leaves like the imprint of the rope across you. That's what I was doing. No one's hit me. No one, I haven't bumped anything. It's just being in the ring. Yeah, it's just can be a cruel mistress.
Yeah, some of the warm-ups, I'm just like, I'm absolutely knackered by the time they get to the actual technique part of it. I was like, oh, am I meant to remember this? I'm tired, but I'm getting better at it now. So it's like, I feel the benefits. As I say, I've only been doing it since May, but yeah, it's really good. I feel the benefits so good from now on. Yeah, they said I do flip bumps really well, which I'm really surprised about. I don't reckon I could have done that 5 months ago. So,
well, that's good. Yeah, I mean that's progression. So it's all you're after.
Yeah. So what was version 1 of Tony Sin like, and how's he evolved over the last 8 months or so?
Yeah. So Tony Sin himself is like the sort of, because you've got like your characteristics and then you've got your gimmick sort of thing. They're sort of 2 different parts of a wrestler. And I would say the characteristics are pretty much where I thought they were going to be, like from when I started. Like, because I already had the name.
Yes.
Because the name is an abbreviation of myself. Not to say that I'm like Tony Sin in real life, although some people might say I am. But this sort of like. Wanting to be like so how I originally described it, right? This is probably the best way if we're going to start from the beginning. So I originally described it to like my friends, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this wrestling thing, and obviously they were like, okay, so what are you going to do? It was going to be, so if you took one half Chris Eubank Senior, and one half Dick Dastardly, and you mix that together. And then press it through a Ric Flair mold, that would be Tony Sin. Okay, and that's sort of, and I think I'm about along those lines at the moment. Still sort of the same, like have the name, but in terms of the gimmick, I hadn't thought of the gimmick, and I think I was one of those guys who was just like, I'll turn up and be like a big character without realizing or even thinking about like what looks good on a poster, what looks good in an entrance, what makes you stand out. I hadn't really thought of that. So originally, when I first made my debut, I pitched just being the Pope character and just doing that as like the normal gimmick day to day. and they were sort of like, yeah, it's okay, but people aren't going to take you seriously, sort of thing. Especially because I was thinking I could possibly even do it in the gown in matches.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and they were like, no, I'm not sure about that. So went away, and someone suggested this like evil preacher character, because it's in the same sort of realm in that it's is the Pope a preacher? I'm not really sure. I don't know if I want to label anyone, but it's still sort of like preaching to the masses, but be like an evil version.
Yeah.
So now it's sort of like Tony Sin is like a cult leader meets evil preacher / thinks he's like the third coming of Christ sort of thing, and he's still a bit of a bell end. And yeah, and then it was just a case of once I'd settled on the gimmick, it was like, okay, so how do you now make this larger than life? Because you can't just go out and be like, I'm a preacher and I'm just here in my trunks. You have to have, so I've got now so I've got the rain jacket, which is like the big long black gown with like feathers coming over the shoulders. And I've incorporated this like cleansing thing that I do, where I go out, and as part of my entrance, I'm like, so I've actually got two versions of it. I've got like a comedy version and a serious version of it. So the general premise is that I'm going out and like cleansing people with holy water, and just like walk around the audience, flick it at people, tell them how lucky they are. But I've got like two dispensers for it. I've got one which is this like, it's like a Dettol bottle style thing that's clear plastic, and then I've written on with permanent marker on the label like holy water, and I like go around spraying people with that. That's more sort of like if I'm doing camp shows or a comedy show, I'll do that, because it obviously people can just read it and be like, what the hell is this? Like, just immediately I think it does grab people's attention. And then the more serious one, one of the guys at training made me, so it looks like it's brass, but it's actually plastic, or like a resin mold type thing. It's probably like that sort of size and has a lid on it. And I could obviously just put water in there and I just flick it at them with my hands.
Oh wow, amazing.
And it's good. I mean, was it the last show I had? The last sort of like canon show that I had, which was actually the debut of this. No, it wasn't the debut. The debut it cut me. But then the second show I did with it, when I was actually a bit more confident with it, as I walked out, about 5 seconds into my entrance, the sound system just blew up. Right, there was some sort of like decibel meter, or that was the excuse they gave. I don't know whether or not they were just trying to, rib me or screw me over. I don't know. But yeah, so my music cut out, and I was just like, fuck. I'm like on my own now. I either just completely break character and be like, what's going on, and like try and fix it, or try and just like style it out a little bit. So to this, like, well, not silent room. Obviously, people were watching, but it was like no music to sort of fall back on. I then was just like shouting at people, like cleanse, like 50 people going around, like did everyone. I did 2 laps of the ring. By the time I realised that people, the sound system was going to take longer than I thought, did another lap. Did like all the people that didn't want to get it. I did like someone's granddad in a wheelchair, cleanse them, cleanse like not the catering, the merch table. And by this point, people were like, cleanse the ref. So they got in, cleanse the ref, cleanse myself. Everyone was getting cleansed, and then luckily, just as I was like running out of use, both in terms of like actual holy water and also just people might be a bit sick of this now. They managed to sort the sound system. So then who was I facing? Leo Edwards. Yeah. For the Square One title, he came out, and then we could just the show could go on at that point, thankfully.
You mentioned cult leaders. Have you studied like the likes of like Charles Manson or Jim Jones, or see what they're a bit like, or to incorporate some of their mannerisms into the act, or something?
Yeah, I definitely, I'm aware of them already. Even before sort of like doing the gimmick. I went and watched this like live performance as part of the Camden Fringe. I watched this like independent live sort of like recreation of the Jonestown Massacre.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I'd sort of got a bit of that. The Charles Manson thing. Obviously, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was sort of like loosely based on it, wasn't it? Or were they real characters in it? I can't not real characters, but were they actually named in it? I can't quite know.
I think it is.
Yeah. But then and then obviously I've seen, you know, just the countless documentaries on Netflix that are just about how, and it's usually America, you know, like if we're going to be honest, it is usually
America.
that somehow managed to get conned by these guys. And yeah, and it's sort of just like baked into me. In terms of specifically going and watch it, I wouldn't say I have, but again, because I had already, you know, decided in a way on what the characteristics were going to be, and they were quite close to this anyway, and just like, you know, loud, brash, sort of annoying, but believes in themselves 100%. Like, come hell or high water, I'm definitely right in what I'm saying. Yeah, that was already sort of like that was already part of it. But yeah, I like to see it if ever I do. Yeah.
Yeah, because having a cult leader gimmick, you could think you've got a school of people who could be your followers, disciples. One off, just give them experience. You can just do run-ins for you. Just like just stuff like that.
Yeah. So I've had these thoughts already. I don't know if I don't want to drop the name on it because I haven't even haven't pitched it because I'm still like, because I'm so new. Or it'll feel like I'm quite new. I don't really pitch any ideas. I'm sort of just happy to go with what I've got. And it's been, you know, I've been lucky with what I've got, so I don't feel the need to start like pushing for things. But it's what you've just said is something that I would like to do at some point, definitely. And I think, and like you're saying, it's a perfect platform for guys that just want to experience what it's like being out there in front of a live audience without necessarily them being the center of attention. They can just go with it, and then you've obviously got the spin-offs where if they, you know, if something goes wrong, I can like turn on them, I can kick them out of the group, and then they've got stories and and I'm all of a sudden I'm having debut matches with all sorts of people. I don't know if I'm getting carried away with myself, but yeah, I'd love to do it, honestly.
Yeah, because at Wrestle Island they had a group called The Rejected, and there was like 4 main Rejected members, but God knows how many other members there were, because every show there was about 5 or 6 people in Rejected masks and Rejected t-shirts, you know, come out and do their bidding and stuff. So, but it was just guys from the academy.
So they were completely anonymous. They had masks on, everything. You didn't know who it was.
No, I did, yeah.
Okay.
I knew, So.
That's interesting. That's something that I could factor in. I mean, the Dark Order started off.
Yeah, similar to that.
Similar sort of thing before Brody Lee became the what was it called, the Exalted One.
Yeah.
When it was just the I can't remember, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, and they had that. I think they were called like the Creepers or something, and they were masked. There's still a bit of a carryover for it now. So yeah, to be honest, I hadn't thought of that. I thought maybe it would just be like these just guys that were like being dragged along because they didn't really have, almost like they had no other hope, so they have to join Tony Sinn's band of weirdos, which isn't the name, by the way, but that's yeah. So that's it. So yeah, no, honestly, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But in a grander scheme of things of wrestling, so what is it about religious characters you think make such great heels? Because I can't think of many face religious characters. There's like Shawn Michaels and Jake the Snake, but they become Christians, but their gimmick wasn't I'm a Christian. They kind of involved it a little bit in the character, but wasn't. But
I think typically because anyone that does try and do the religious thing tries to do it in a sort of dark way, which immediately makes it sort of heelish. Not that I would consider the Tony Sin thing to be like, it's not like a spooky character at all.
No.
But there's a dark element to it. So yeah, I think once you start doing that, and then obviously I think if you've got like the holier than thou attitude and like, you know, like you're all sinners, I'm doing this the right way. As soon as you start trying to communicate that to people, it just rubs people up the wrong way, doesn't it? And then that's without even getting into the whole nuance of, you know, where does religion sit in society? Like, you know, there's some people that are like, religion set us back hundreds of years because we were following the church, all that stuff. Not that I'm one of those guys, but I think there's definitely like there's a movement in there, and it feels like they're trying to like force things on you, and people don't like that.
Definitely. Yeah. Right, so who are some of your dream opponents, promotions, feuds you've got maybe next year or two? Just like,
the really wanky answer is that I just want to work as many promotions and as many as possible that everyone says, which is true, obviously. I'd say the one person I've seen where I'm like, what is this? Like, it just blew me away straight away. Is man like Darius.
Yes,
he's brilliant, and like I hadn't heard of him before. Like I'm not a Brit Rest guy in terms of following. Obviously now I'm in it, I know these characters. Like, you know, having not heard of Cara Noir before I started, I now get hammered over the head with Cara Noir pretty much every training session. I'm like, oh, he's so good, and he is good, by the way. I'm not saying but like, it's amazing how these people sort of they're idols, but then you can be in the same sort of fan world and have never heard of them. It's really like, it's amazing wrestling like that. But yeah, man like Darius, I saw him. So UBW and Sacrifice did a sort of like a Survivor Series type show where it was like every match was from one wrestler was from either side, sort of thing. And man like Darius opened the show against, I think, Spike Valentine.
Oh wow, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So he came out dead first, and I didn't know really what to expect. Like, someone had said just before it started, it was like, oh, man like Darius is on it. And it's like this rapper guy, and I was like, okay, whatever. Let's see how this goes. Like, you know, I remember the John Cena stuff, and he came out doing the whole rap thing. Oh, 1 2 1, oh 1 2 1, and I was sold on it within like 5 seconds. I was like, this is amazing. And so it was a Sacrifice's home venue. It's quite like a small, tight knit space, and just him there, just like lighting the whole thing up. And then I think a couple of weeks later, I saw him at a Progress show that I just had someone had tickets for, and I saw him there again. And it's just like in a sort of bigger venue like the Progress. They do it at the Electric Ballroom in Camden. Yeah. And seeing it work there as well, and like people going mad for it, I was just if I could have one person, that'd be him. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's at TNT, one of my local promotions all the time. Yeah, when earlier this year, I got quite drunk and spent about 70 quid on his merch. I don't know how. I came with a hoodie and 2 shirts. And
you see, I don't know. I haven't seen. Does he sell like mixtapes and stuff like that? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but I don't know.
If he's not, there's true. You can have that one for free.
Yeah, he's one of them people who every time he comes to Liverpool, he's got new merch. So you have to.
Smart, very smart.
He's one of the few people who has like the card reader as well. So you can't even say I've got no money on me.
Yeah,
but he's amazing.
Yeah. Yes, but now other than that, it would just be everyone in Brit Rest. I just want to do as far and as wide. Like I'm not restricted by travel, anything like that. I just want to do as much as possible. Even like the shows where some people are like, don't work this promotion, like it's not safe or whatever. I almost want to work like the really shitty shows and see like what like the depths of Brit Rest look like, where you're doing like 8 people and it's all the promoters' friends or family. I want to do all that stuff. I want to do that and everything up to wherever, just as big as I can possibly go. There's no, I'm not going to say somewhere and be like, that's the limit for me. I want to, I want to be like the most culturally relevant Brit Rest guy since like Daddy Haystacks, or like Big Daddy or Giant Haystacks. Like those sort of level guys, like proper mainstream. That's how high I want to go. Not just in 2022, but in my journey.
I'd love for Brit Rest to be that mainstream again. It'd be amazing.
I don't think it's impossible. I mean, people, if you can get over as like a character, not necessarily. Obviously, you'll be like the wrestling guy, but if you can fully live the gimmick or have like a gimmick that is something that you don't necessarily have to like, you can't turn on and off. It's the classic like it's you turned up to 11, which a lot of celebrities are really like. Celebrities aren't as you see them on the TV. That's not just them at home when they're just chilling. So I think if someone, it's possible for someone to do it. And yeah, want that to be me.
Happy face. Was it you? Because Artemis told me a story that they were at Carnival show and they went backstage. They got called straight out for another match, and you didn't have your shoes on, so you had to have a match in the boiling hot black ring with no boots on. It was
Yeah, that was me. That was a nightmare. So basically, we did this. It was Codica, which is like a village in Hertfordshire, and they have like their village fete every year. And it was really good. It's an amazing turnout. They sort of undersold that a little bit. And anyway, basically, so we had 2 time slots, and the 2 time slots, the booking was that me and Harrison Leon were going to be the main event of the first half.
Yeah.
And then who interfered? Josh Spicer interfered on my behalf. And then Artemis came out to save Harrison, and that set up a tag match for the first match of the second half.
Yeah.
So, like, continuity right there, 101. And the guy that was running the whole fate was like, okay, yeah, fine. So you've got your break now, whatever. We've got 2 acts on in between you. And to be fair, I don't think he specified a time, but I was okay, 2 acts is like at least half an hour, probably maybe even an hour. And we were doing this on one of those ridiculously hot days we had in July, where it was like 32, 33. And me and Harrison went probably like 12 minutes. And there was a lot of running involved in it. We did this like water fight thing where like he hands out water guns. He ended up like tripping me or something. And then the whole crowd was like spraying me with water guns. And there was like a lot of running around the ring during that time, basically doing laps of it. So I got backstage and I'm bucketing sweat. And I was like, need to take my boots off. Like the the feet are the exhaust of the body. If I could just take them off for like 15 minutes and then put them on when we're ready to go again, or like, because I presume they'd give us warning or something. But so we start planning the tag match, and I've got backstage. We're planning the tag match, and I'm not even joking. Like 5 minutes later, I hear my music playing. And Paul Ash is on the mic and literally starts announcing me. He's like, Tony's back again, Tony's in, whatever. And I'm completely barefoot, haven't got knee pads on, socks on. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? Because I knew I didn't have time to put my boots on. I was like, put your knee pads on, because they're the most important thing. Like, of everything, they're probably the most. I'd probably rather do it with knee pads on and no trunks than trunks and no knee pads. I don't know about everyone else watching, but that's probably how I prefer to do it. So I was like, well, we're just gonna have to go. Like, the show goes on, sort of thing. So I just went out barefoot. So Truman Roswell was on the show, and he like came running after me once I'd like got to the ring, and he was like, put your boots on. Like, you have to do this. And I tried to whilst Artemis and Harrison were doing their entrance, and I just realized I didn't have time. Like, I didn't have any socks. So, when your feet get really sweaty, so you can't like push them in. And I was just like, there's no way this is gonna happen. So we're just gonna have to, like, they have this as like a harsh lesson sort of thing. And so it was hot. It was bad. But the worst thing about it was just in the finish. There was we did this spot where me and Spicer went to double suplex Artemis. She blocked it and then gave us a double suplex, and like sort of like it went over crazy well. It was really good. But the problem is, because obviously it's a double suplex, we sort of had to like really post ourselves over. And as I came over, I just smashed my heel on the canvas.
Ooh, yeah.
And it sucked. It was the sort of thing that like 3 or 4 days after I was still feeling. It was just like, it was awful. So that was the worst thing about it. But yeah, not good. And like a lesson learned. Like now this week, not this weekend, the weekend, but just before, had a very similar sort of booking at it was like a monster truck drag racing festival.
Oh wow!
Yeah, really good fun. Again, amazing crowd. And I had 2 matches either side of the interval, and was just like, no matter how hot it is, I'm keeping everything on. Just gonna have to deal with it.
Cool. Should we move on to the craze card bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. Right. So if you're a promoter for a day, promoting an event, so using wrestlers you've either worked with, trained with, wrestlers are associated with you in some way. If I give you a match type, you'll tell me who you put in that match.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
And as it's your card, every match can be intergender, 3-way, 4-way, 5-way. Throw a stupid stipulation on if you want. It's your show. So
That's good.
Cool. So who'll be in your opening contest to get the crowd excited?
Right. We'll see. Seeing as it is my show, and also I don't want people to get annoyed with this, I'm just going to do a catch-all. If I haven't mentioned anyone and they're annoyed about that, be safe in the knowledge that I'm having a pre-show battle royal rumble.
Yes.
You could just be in it. So console yourself with being in it.
Yes.
Everyone's booked. And who's going over? This guy. Well, yeah, no, he is. Guy's a bit offensive, but he's 17 at the moment. He joined our sessions, I think, probably 3 weeks after. He's this guy called Rags, and he's making his debut on the 24th. The Square One are doing a show on the 24th, and he's making his debut on there, and he is incredible. He's this he's not. He's when you think of some people that are these gymnastic genius, prodigy type guys. He's not like one of those. Although he can do moves, obviously, but his nuts and bolts of selling and strikes are flawless. And he's 17 making his debut, so he's got he's got as long as he wants. So I'm not putting him on the card, because he hasn't even made his debut yet. But I want to get him in there because I want to say I was the first one to book him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he wins the battle royal.
He wins the battle royal, definitely. But no, opening contest. So it's a rematch. It's Leo Edwards, Tony Sin 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, after two reasons really. So firstly, I want to put myself on. I'm putting myself on the card, obviously, because I'm the promoter. I'm just going to do this, guys. I'm not going to do the standard trick of I'm going to be in the main event and I'm retaining my title that I would be doing that. So I'm putting myself on first because actually I'd want to watch this card rather than be in the back going through the match with people. So I'm putting myself on first. And yeah, the rematch I think everyone wants to see after, like I said earlier about my music not quite working, and then me just being thrown off for the match.
Yeah.
a purposeful diversion tactic from the company. So we're having this under normal rules, normal sound system, everything's equal, and I'm going over, obviously, because it's my show. So I'm taking his title. Though he's defending his title on my show,
yeah.
I'm still taking the title. So
yeah. New Square One champion. Cool. What about a comedy style match?
Comedy. So I would do, and this might seem for the people involved, it might seem like a bit of a demotion for them, but I actually think they are great, not comedy workers, but they can do comedy very well. So I'm doing Charles Crowley.
Yes.
And Clementine, the team known as Big Dangerous Scary Mammals. aka BDSM.
That vignette where they've come up with that name is hilarious. I still watch it now. It's so funny.
It's amazing. So they're on one side versus Memes. I think I'm not sure if technically his full name is meant to be Wrestling Memes, but the artist known as Memes.
Yes.
And Evie Madden on the other.
Ooh, yeah.
Side, yeah. So they've got great chemistry with each other, and I'm sure. Well, Charles Crowley and Memes have obviously they've had their whole run. They've been a tag team, broken up, all that stuff. So they've
yeah. When I interviewed Charles Crowley, he was in the midst of his he just turned on memes and about to have their match at WrestleMania, I think.
Yeah.
It's just it's just,
So they can rekindle that, and I'm pretty so stipulation, doing a hair versus hair match. Because they've probably never done that stipulation. They might have done everything else, but not that. And I think they've all got lovely hair, so therefore, it would be nice to see one of them get shaved. Well, in fact, two people are getting shaved bald, because no matter who takes the fall, both are getting shaved bald.
Oh, imagine Clementine without her curly locks. That would look weird.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't. Yeah, to be fair, I haven't decided who's going.
Oh, but a bald meme to look weird as well, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, do I want? Yeah, because I think Progress might revenge not Charles Family with a bald head. So yeah, they're going over. So Memes and Evie Madden. Sorry, Evie, you don't deserve that. You've actually got lovely hair as well. But yeah, they're getting shaved bald.
Okay, your women's title match.
Women's title match. I've got Artemis.
Yes.
My day one. Just have to get her in there. Versus the artist formerly known as Bobby Tyler, and now to give her full title, which is WWE NXT UK superstar Stevie Turner.
Stevie Turner. I couldn't think of her surname. I was like, Stevie. I couldn't think of the name. Yeah.
No, but yeah, Bobby Tyler. To like, not I didn't know her in a Bobby Tyler days. I've only got to know her since like she comes to training every now and again with Paul, and she's just like the nicest girl. Like considering where she is and how well she's done for herself, she's just like so down to earth, and like she's fun to be around, and she's obviously a great worker, and I just think it'd be fun for Artemis to throw her around a bit. Like, Bobby Tyler's like a bit of a Stevie Turner, sorry, in WWE. She's like a bit of a shithouse. So I think it would be funny, just Artemis just picking her up and just suplexing her into oblivion, and probably going over because she's my mate. So yeah, Artemis over in it.
Yeah, and by the time people listen to this, Artemis could be the Square One champions this Saturday. She's got. So. She
could actually. Sorry, so yeah, that could actually be a title unification match. Yeah. Then I might have to face the winner of that. I don't know how we're going to work that, but I need to beat Leo Edwards. There's like a grudge there. I'd love to work Artemis. Like I said, we did that tag at the Fate where I did my heel, but I'd love to do like a one-on-one with her as well. But yeah, so I don't know. But for now, let's just assume she hasn't got the belt, or maybe they're not loaning the belt out, or whatever. So yeah, but she's got my women's belt. So there you are.
Well, I'll turn mid-card title, so like a workhorse title type thing. Or...
Yeah. So I wrote this out, or started planning this last week sometime, and I originally had Hustle Malone in there.
Yes.
Who since then has announced that he is. I don't know if he's retiring. He's certainly taking a break, like a sort of
stepping away from the ring.
He's taking an indefinite break for sure. But that may well turn into a full-blown retirement. So yeah, look, I wish him well. I think he's done amazingly for whilst he has been at it. He's obviously he's not. I don't think he's necessarily stepping away from wrestling completely, because he's what is he? So he's the commentator for Progress. He runs Wet Cake, Sacrifice, United, does like video editing, I think. So he's like basically the busiest man in wrestling already. And if he feels like the part that he needs the least out of that is the bumping part, then I fully support that. And congratulations on everything that he's achieved. And
I've loved following his career for the last 5 years. It's one of my favorite wrestlers. So.
He's incredible. And I mean, I was talking to people at training last night, and we were just sort of talking about it, and people were saying how gutted they were because they wanted to work with him. You know, they just sort of assumed that maybe it could happen at some point, just being like, in the same sort of circles ish in terms of where we are in the country. But yeah, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I'm not going to be like I'm never going to see him again, because he's like I said, he's still doing the sacrifice thing and wet cake and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see him. But yeah, no, it's a great shame. So I am going to have him. He's commentating on the whole, because I feel like if that's what he wants to do now, he can do that. And he's also giving the pre-show team talk. He does the best team talks you'll ever hear. Like he can get pops for anyone. So where Sacrifice do most of their shows is at Bedford Town Football Club. It's in like the clubhouse there. And he'll like introduce the staff behind the bar, and people will be going crazy. Like, people are talking like, I'm going to change my name to just staff because they're that over. Yes, he's doing that as well. But yeah, in terms of, so we've got a 4-way now. Was going to be a 5-way, but it's now down to a 4-way. I've got Adonis Payne.
Yes.
Josh Spicer, the newly crowned, who actually took Hustle's Young Lions title at the weekend.
Yeah.
So I guess he's putting that on the line. Clarence the Sassy Bear.
Yes.
The most over man ever. And Vinnie Cray.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, Vinnie Cray, who is my favourite promo ever. And that might even include like guys that are on TV. It is brilliant. He does so we did a show a couple of weeks ago that was like a fundraiser for service horses. So it'll be like for kids that are special needs or whatever, and they're like, it's like a sort of activity type thing. And this charity teaches them to ride, all that sort of stuff. And that's what the day was for. And they had like music and all that on. And we got booked as wrestling, and he went out in the first match, and he likes to cut promos when it's a sort of party show type thing, because I think it sets the scene that this is wrestling and this isn't just like pantomime stuff. We are actually we've got good guys, bad guys, all that stuff. And he goes out and have you seen Vinnie Cray? Are you aware of him?
I know the name. I've not seen much of him.
So he does this like East End gangster type gimmick that he plays off perfectly, and he's got this like East London voice. Anyway, he starts doing this promo, and he's like, "I'll tell you what, I don't want to be here, and the last thing I want to do is be here trying to raise money for some stupid horses. And I'll tell you right now, I hate horses. If there was one right here, I'd punch its teeth straight down its throat." And we're all like, we're in the back going, okay, I think this is maybe going a bit too far. He's working Harrison Leon, who's in the ring already. And Harrison sees like the main show organizer, not we're with Hugo Bloom, not him, the main guy, like coming over being like, "Stop what you're doing." So Harrison just has to like pull the microphone out of his hand and then just like do a like hot start, but with like a face somehow, however you managed to do that. So he's coming out. And he's just cutting a promo on whatever has annoyed him that day, because it's going to be perfect, whatever it is. So yeah, he's in there. And who's going over? I hadn't thought of that. Not Adonis Payne, because he's actually git. He didn't even book me on his dream card, so I'm going to revenge book him and not book him over. Nah, Spice is retaining. Spice is retaining.
Yeah, cool. A hardcore Extreme Rules style match, so you can go anything from comedy 24/7 hardcore stuff right up to deathmatch, whatever you want to do. So
I think I'm definitely I'm a bit of a like hardcore fiend sort of guy. Like I wouldn't want to do like, they'll do like night before Christmas street fight where they like throw presents over each other. We're not doing that. Yeah, I hadn't even thought what I was going to do. Right, so let me think that. So the two contenders are Truman Roswell.
Yes. Okay.
And Jackson Hart.
Yes, he's fun.
Purely because I know that these are two guys that actually do want to do death matches. I don't want to book anyone that's like, why am I doing this? I'm not going to take anything.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? Just something ridiculously over the top, like I don't know, like a TLC, like a Hell in a Cell TLC hybrid, where there's just like it's in a cage. There's loads of weapons in there. Maybe
the Ambrose Asylum match, was that what that one?
Is that what that was? Yeah, was that what it was? Okay, well I need to make something different. Okay, so in this one, the ropes are electrocuted. Right, so that's to differentiate myself. Obviously, I'll gimmick them up so it's just like if you hit them, they just explode. A bit like they tried to do with that exploding barbed wire match, but it's A, not going to end in a clusterfuck, and B, I'm not going to have barbed wire because I just think it's a bit unnecessary. And there's going to be no glass either. We're not doing glass, but everything else, your traditional plunder is in there.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be fun. Your tag team title match.
So I'd put West Side Heat.
Yes.
Just because I feel like you can't have a tag match West Side Heat in there at this point. Like they're just so over. They are incredible. They're like as like guys as well. Because I got introduced to Smashing Mike as a concept.
Yeah.
As a singles guy. As I now found out, he was doing the West Side Heat thing already, but I sort of knew him as a singles guy. So then when he turned up with this, with his tag partner, I was like, okay, let's see this. And then as soon as I saw JT, I was like, oh, okay, right now, yeah, I see what this is like. Just seeing JT in the flesh, I was like, because we're similar sort of height, but he is like the thickest, leanest person I've ever seen for someone with our like traditional frame. It's incredible, and they've both got so much chemistry, and so they're in there definitely. Against Los Palominos, or one half quarters of Los Palominos, Frankie Vegas, who is the leader, and Ricky Calvé, the newest member. Yeah. Just because they're great. I love the gimmick. I love the entrance songs. I'm a huge Pulp Fiction fan. So them coming out to that music immediately gets me going, and then just like they're great in ring, but they're also great just gets again, like, do you know what I mean? So I feel like West Side Heat trying to get their hands on them and then eventually doing it, and then just like throwing them around, and like JT doing like however many moonsaults he wants to do. Just I think it'll be great, and obviously West Side Heat retaining their titles.
Amazing. Then your main events. So
main event. So I've true to promoter form. I've probably put the two guys that mean the most to me in my wrestling journey so far. So I've got Tommy Kyle, who, as I've said, is my trainer, or my like sort of first trainer, and the guy that he's like told me off before, and I actually genuinely felt like I'd let one of my parents down. I think it was like my second match. I came back. It was me and Harrison Leon. We're against each other in a tag with two other like more experienced guys, and I thought it'd gone okay. And I came to the back, and immediately he was just like, "You can't bump. You need to sort your bumps out." And I was just like, "What's having a go at me straight there?" And I needed it, because when I watched it back, I was like, "Yeah, they are terrible." Like I just wasn't there. And since then, I've like made a point of trying to just like everything is snappy. So he's in there against Harrison Leon, who is who is he's. I think he has it. Do you know what I mean? Like to go right to the very top. Like he's got the size, he's got the looks, charisma. He's got he's getting the moveset. He is getting there, but in terms of like those intangibles, things that people just look at and go, "You're a star." He's got all of it.
He's brilliant.
And and he's also, to be a bit wet, he's also my best friend in wrestling. he's in there. But I'm not putting him over Tommy Kyle. There's just no way I can do that, because Tommy Kyle is like well on his way to stardom as well, like establishing
brilliant, yeah.
himself. You know, he's amazing. Just can do everything. Can do like high flying stuff. He's got this move. He's just started incorporating over the weekend. He's got this like lion salt, and it's like the perfect arc as he goes over. He can do that, and obviously he's got like all the sort of like throws, suplexes, submissions, everything. So yeah, no, it'd be a great match. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, he was one of them guys, because during lockdown, people either got into amazing shape or they did start doing something different with the character or their moveset. But he got into shape where he just looks amazing, and he's worked on his character as well. So I think it seemed like he's one of them people that really benefits from having them 18 months just to work on himself.
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, because I've only known him since he became the sort of Top Gun gimmick. So I wasn't ever there for any of the sort of. I've seen pictures of the just pilot gimmick and sort of MMA stuff that people love to get out, because now he's so good. Everyone's like, "Where you come from?" So I do see it. But yeah, he's just, from what I gather, he was just a natural from day one in terms of in-ring mechanics. People say it almost like didn't need to be taught; it just had it. So yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a great card. I'd love to watch that card.
Yeah, they say mode as well.
Be a lot of fun. Cool. So where can people see you in the near future?
Where can they see? So is it when? Well, depending on when this is going out. 4th of September, which is this Sunday coming up, is Falling with Style 3 in Biggleswade UBW show. I'm in the 6-person ladder match for. It's for a title shot. I'm not sure whether or not it's just for like solely for the big belt, or you can choose your title. I don't really know, but it's definitely a ladder match. It's my first ladder match. It's like fulfilling a childhood dream. But then also I've now in training fallen off a ladder onto one of those big blue mats. Yeah. And felt like my spine had been at the front of my stomach. So now I'm not that, although I am still really excited for it, and it's be a great card otherwise.
So you know what JR was like when how'd you learn to fall off a 20-foot ladder? So.
Yeah, it turns out you do actually do a little bit of it. I don't know if Jeff Hardy just first ladder match was like, I've never done this, but I guess it'll be all right. I'll just wait. He probably had done a bit, not to to tell people how the sausage is made. All right, we have practiced some stuff. What else have I got? So yeah, 24th of September is a Square One show. What's it called? Schools in Session. There's a Rumble on. As I said, Rags is making a debut. A lot of people are making debuts in the Rumble. Should be a good card. It's always a lot of fun. It's a very good venue for it as well. It gets good. It's nice and tight. And then what else have I got? And then I'm actually not sure if I'm on the show, but the 8th of October, Stopfold, UBW are running another show, which I'll definitely be there. So even if you just want to come down and beat me, I'll be around. But yeah, hopefully I'll be on the card. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see how I go after the ladder match. I might not make it to the 24th. And then 30th, day before Halloween, I've got my first double booking. Ooh. Yeah. So I've got the Spectrum Scarefest, which is a UBW show in Littleport, Cambridgeshire, which is one of the real glamour venues on the circuit. And then straight down to Sacrifice to make my Sacrifice debut.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Oh, so literally like finishing up, heading straight to Bedford, making the debut. Don't think they've announced what the match is yet, so I'm probably not going to. But it's a good match. Like, I know what I'm in, and it'll be good. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Oh, amazing! I'll put links in the description to any shows. Before we go, do you want to promote any social media or? Or anything?
I'm mostly just Instagram guy. Like I'm not pre-wrestling. I was never really a social media guy. So I just have an Instagram account, which is at tony.sin.god. Do have a Facebook page, which I think is just Tony Sin. And I do have a Twitter page as well, which I think is at Tony Sin God. But it mostly goes down on Instagram. So just if you've got that, just contact me there. Just basically, I'm open for anything. I'm open for bookings. Sorry, I know we're going long, but so last night I got introduced to the concept of customs, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Which is where typically depraved men on the internet will contact female wrestlers.
Oh yeah, I know about this.
Yeah, and be like, do you do like called customs, but it's like a commission thing where I pay you a sum of money and you do sort of a wrestling. It's not like OnlyFans, but it's like a sort of wrestling version of that where you'll like have a match in. I don't even want to know where it goes. But yeah, I wasn't surprised to hear that this is a thing. Yeah, but I wasn't shocked to hear that this was a thing, but I also wasn't like surprised at all that this is going on. So yeah, I mean, look, if someone wants me to do a custom, I'm open to that as well. Just get in touch and I'll say yes or no. So yeah.
They taught me the stink face match. I've heard there's a thing. The girls just do stink faces on each other and stuff.
Like, I really want to think how deep it goes and how dark it goes into what some people, someone that you're never come into real life contact with, what they can ask you to do. Yeah, I don't think there's any limit to it, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not going to say yes to everything, but everyone's got a prize.
Cool. I'll put links in the description if anybody wants to contact you on through social media. So I've really enjoyed speaking today. I'd love to have you on again in the future. That was a lot of fun.
It's been great. Yeah, no, honestly, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been amazing.